Hi, folks. I'm Jamie Hiles.
I'm Lydia Judy.
And I'm D-Rock.
This is Screen Bloody Movies, the podcast where we review a horror movie each week and go over the horror news. Sorry I sound so depressed, but D-Rock killed me. That was it.
It's the last straw.
It's the last straw. I'm out.
It happens.
D-Rock. It's a good one.
D-Rock.
How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing good. I've been crafty all day, so that feels nice. Get creative.
Nice. It's good. How about you, D-Rock?
Good. The weather was nice. I took Clark to the park.
Rhymed even.
It's good times. I know. He met a new friend. They called each other names like chicken and turkey. It was cute.
Well, I thought you were going to say met a new friend. Her name was Crystal. She was standing on the corner of the park.
What?
Clark went up and said, "Hi, miss." And she's like, $20.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
If
your name is Crystal, no offense.
No, Crystal's I used to have a big crush on a girl named Crystal back in the high school days. You know who you are, or you don't because you don't watch the podcast. So, guys, I had a okay-ish day, kind of under the weather, so if I sound a little hoarse, it's because my 7th-month pregnant wife decided to just give me whatever illness she had, and that was really lovely of her. I appreciate it. But she's doing worse because she's pregnant, so I can't really complain about it.
Mm-hmm.
I just have to. She says I have the man flu.
The man.
That's funny.
Yeah, basically, it's anytime we have a cold, it's 5 times worse. Apparently,
it's that men complain 5 times more than women do when they're sick. The same illness. The man flu. I like that.
Either way,
people have the man flu, but I would like to think I'm not that guy, but I don't know.
No, I don't think I am. I never complain about anything ever.
Yeah.
I've got a funny story at the end of this.
I mean, except for Halloween Ends, I complain about that a lot. But besides that, I never complain. Oh, you got a funny story? Okay, I'll remind you when it's story time.
Yep.
So, guys, before we get into Alfred Hitchcock's 1960s super influential classic, Psycho, we will talk about the horror news. And I have some weird ones, guys. I actually have some weird horror news going on. But also some interesting regular ones. So first, let's start with this. Bloody Disgusting reported this earlier, that Kaya Roach Turner's new movie Sting, inspired by humanity's greatest fears, spiders, has wrapped. So we were talking about they're going to do another Arachnophobia. But before that, we have this movie called Sting, which is going to have practical effects done by Weta Studios.
Oh.
So if you're not into the creepy crawlies, it's probably not going to be a good time.
Love a good spider movie.
Yeah.
I do too. I'm just curious. I don't know if that name is as appropriate as it would be if it were about bees, but whatever.
Yeah, it's like spiders don't sting people.
Right? So here's the plot. Yeah, it's weird. Let's see what it says here. Are distracted by their new baby and are learning. So Charlotte bonds with a spider. Keeping it a secret pet, she names it Sting. That's why it's called Sting.
Nice.
Presumably because she's either a fan of the wrestler or the musician. So if this spider's singing every breath we take, I'm in.
It made me think Lord of the Rings.
I'm not going to lie, when you said the name of the movie, my immediate thought was, they're doing a biography on Sting? The wrestler?
This spider is carrying around a baseball bat and jumping from rafters. Crazy shit. Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in whatever the new Arachnophobia movie is, but this sounds interesting too. I mean, I love a good spider movie, like you said, Liddy. We don't get too many of them, and when we do, they're really cool.
It's kind of like a childhood thing for me, you know.
Yeah, well,
They were all over the place back then.
Yeah, and it is a fear. It is like a innate human fear. Where a lot of people are afraid of spiders. A lot of people.
I'm not. Are you guys afraid of spiders?
It
Not
depends.
really. I'm not like if I
It
saw like,
depends.
if I saw a big like black widow in my basement, yeah, I'd be terrified. But if I see like a spider crawling on the wall, I usually grab a paper towel and I grab him and I let him outside.
Yeah.
Sarah hates that. Sarah hates that I do that, but I let him outside. I'm like, go catch insects, live your life, just stay out of my house.
Yeah, man, it was I don't know, at the beginning of this year, I'm pretty sure we were at Quincy's parents' house, and a spider was in my car. Normally it's whatever, but man, that little bastard jumped down and was like right next to my seat, and I'm like, "Ugh," I don't know why. He was little, I'm fat, and I could have sat on there, but he was just there, and I was like off my seat to the side. My butt started to burn because I was
That's
off the seat.
hilarious.
It was interesting. I escaped, luckily with an inch of my life, and I made it.
Close call. Close call.
I did have one of those long leg. It's not like daddy long leg, but it's one of those real skinny legged long ones.
Yeah.
Crawl on me one day, and that really did freak me out. And I was like, "Ooh!"
Once
Like
you're not expecting them, it's scary. Like
yeah,
the other day, I was in the. I didn't tell Sarah about it because I was in the. Where was I? I think it was either the kitchen or the bathroom, and I saw it was a big guy on the wall. Like I mean, he was huge, and I was like, I grabbed the toilet paper and I just grabbed him up and
yeah,
took him outside, and I was like, Sarah would have freaked because that thing was she does not like spiders. She's terrified of them.
yeah.
And that would have just sent her over the edge because even me, not afraid of spiders, saw it and I was like, I'm kind of leery about approaching this guy.
I grew up with like wolf spiders at my house, like big ones. Like these things were gigantic. Like, and they never touched me or bit me or anything, so I just never cared about them really. It's the like beetles and stuff that kind of freak me out.
Or centipedes or millipedes.
Like like a hard-shelled beetle that will just fly at you, like a stink bug or something.
Oh, stink bugs are gross. Yeah.
Yeah.
Freak out if I see a stink bug.
I've got a friend who his name's Derek too, but he got bit by a brown recluse
Oh yeah,
on the back of his calf, and
Oh.
I was living with a family at the time in high school, and the mom was a nurse, and so he came over to the house because we were on the wrestling team, and they were afraid that this thing was gonna because the refs check you, make sure you don't have ringworm and stuff like that. Oh man, she stuck a Q-tip into his leg and went like this and then pushed on it. This giant ball of pus just popped out. It was gnarly.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not good.
At least she didn't pop and a bunch of little tiny spiders run out.
Right, like a little nest.
That might have brought us all in, yeah.
Yeah, that'd have been it.
It's all right. He went to a chiropractor and got a note.
Yeah.
That's what it does.
That actually
spider bites.
That reminds me that I actually did get bit by a spider one time, which was a cousin of the brown recluse. It's called a yellow sac spider, and they're everywhere.
Yeah, I've seen them.
And they don't bite unless you try to smack them. And then they will turn very quickly and bite you. And I found this out the hard way because I thought a fly was like crawling on me or something, so I swatted it. And it bit like my finger, like in right here.
Right now. Ooh,
yeah, and I could not open my fist for 2 weeks.
Probably swelled up.
Weeks. It didn't swell up. It was just in so much pain. It was like the most painful bite I've ever gotten from anything.
Wow.
But I was okay. I lived.
That's good.
Got about Raptors now.
Yeah.
Making sure Sting's not coming down with the baseball bat.
That's exactly what I'm looking for.
Oh my goodness! Out of nowhere!
That'd be cool. All right, guys. This news kind of took me out of. It came out of the blue, but apparently Millennium Media, the production company, is developing a new Hellboy movie called Hellboy: The Crooked Man. The new film will see Hellboy and a rookie BPRD agent stranded in 1950s rural Appalachia. There, they discover a small community haunted by witches, led by a local devil with troubling connection to Hellboy's past, the Crooked Man. What are your thoughts?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's it. What are your thoughts on a new Hellboy?
I love Hellboy.
I love Guillermo's Hellboy.
Yes.
Let's delineate. Did not care for the new Hellboy.
I didn't mind it. I love the idea of the characters and all of the world.
Yeah, it's cool.
That they're in. So I didn't care too much, but like I really loved Guillermo's.
Yeah, I did not like the David Harbour one.
I didn't hate it.
Come on.
Yeah.
Like, he is Hellboy.
He was born to play Hellboy.
Yeah. And Doug Jones as Abe Sapien.
Yeah.
Like, stop it.
Selma Blair.
Yes. What a team.
I would say, I think Hellboy would do really, really great as like a HBO
Max,
series.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But like trying to do a movie, I just feel like you need to build the lore instead of just assuming people know like, the backstory and all that stuff.
Yeah, and the first
one.
I mean, the first two are really Guillermo's are pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy both of those movies. I remember when it came out, I wasn't expecting much. Nick used to make fun of the name because it was called Hellboy, and then I watched it and I was like, "This movie kicks a lot of ass."
Yeah,
and then the Golden Army is fucking aces too. Good stuff. So we should be looking for that here in the near future. We don't have a release date or anything, but another Hellboy's on the way. They also don't know who's playing Hellboy. I doubt it's going to be David Harbour because that movie bombed hard, did not do well.
Yeah.
So I doubt that's going to be it.
I kind of want to go back and rewatch that and just see what
It's not like it's the world's worst movie or anything. I just did not like. I like Rob Marshall, the director. He's fine. I love David Harbour, but it just did not click for me. None of it clicked for me.
I thought the Baba Yaga thing was really cool.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can actually remember right now off the top of my head.
Wick, that movie?
Yes, the Baba Yaga, John Wick. He's in there kicking ass. Guys, we talked about this a few weeks ago. Remember, I said that Eli Roth is making a full-length adaptation of his Thanksgiving slasher movie that he did a trailer for Grindhouse. Remember that? Well, we're getting some casting. Patrick Dempsey is in talks to star in this thing now. And it'll begin shooting in March.
What?
Wait, who's Patrick Dempsey?
Patrick Dempsey is McDreamy.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's what.
Yeah, that's it.
Actually, I know him more.
We just swoon over Patrick. Oh, he's Kincaid from Scream 3, which we'll have to do after we do Scream 2.
What he
Can't Buy Me Love, baby. He's in Can't Buy Me Love.
A bunch of 80s movies. Can't Buy Me Love. What was the other one? Can't think of it right now. Oh, well, it can't be that important, I guess. But anyway, yeah, Can't Buy Me Love. He was an 80s heartthrob.
He was. So this movie is shooting in March. It is being the script's being written by Jeff Randall. It is being produced by Roger Birnbaum and Eli Roth. And I don't remember if Roth is directing or if somebody else is. Yeah, he's directing. So what are you guys' thoughts about Patrick Dempsey joining a Thanksgiving slash? We don't have Thanksgiving slashers.
That's what I was about to say. We love our Thanksgiving slashers around here, so
yeah. And we only have a couple.
We have one. We have one.
One classic.
Yeah, and to be fair, like the Thanksgiving slashers that we do have, I mean, let's be honest, they're not like a movie. You know what I mean? Like they're these. Thanksgiving comes to mind. You know what I mean?
Well, that's
like,
a terrible. Yeah,
supposed to be an extreme movie. So
I mean, we do have Blood Feast is a Thanksgiving classic, so we do have that going for us.
I don't know if I've ever seen it.
Yeah, you have. We did a podcast on it. That's not Cranberry.
Blood Rage.
Blood Rage. Blood Rage. Blood Rage.
Oh,
Yes.
that was
Blood Rage. Yeah.
That doesn't rain.
No, Blood Rage.
No.
You know, cranberry sauce.
That was
It's not
amazing.
cranberry sauce.
Are you sure?
Man, A+. That was the store of the box office.
We gotta keep spreading the word about Blood Rage.
Blood Rage has got to. I mean, that fateful camping night changed our lives forever, Lydia.
It really did. I love that movie now.
It's something. So this is weird. I don't know if we talked about this at all, but did we talk about this? They're making a sequel to I Am Legend.
Yeah.
Starring Will Smith and Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah.
So it's been confirmed, obviously, that they're going to be using the alternate ending and not the theatrical ending to the film. They have to.
Yeah, they have to. You're right, and that's I don't know how you do that.
No, because every time this movie is played on TV or anything, it's always the theatrical ending. So you just got to retcon the ending, essentially.
Yeah. Just silly. Which I actually enjoy the alternate ending.
I think the alternate ending is the better ending. For those not in the know, spoiler alert for this I Am Legend. At the end of I Am Legend, the theatrical cut, Robert Neville, which is Will Smith's character, takes a grenade and charges at this horde of vampire zombies and sacrifices himself, blows himself up. And that way the other people can get away with the cure. In the alternate ending, he realizes, which is the point of the movie, which is why it's called I Am Legend, he realizes that the vampires are sentient. They're sentient beings. They're sentient creatures. They're not bloodthirsty, just savages. Yeah, you're muted, by the way.
I realize you should have said anything.
You almost got it. Yeah. But they're not a mindless horde. They're coming after their mate, So he realizes that he's the monster because he's the one that's been killing them during the day, and he is their monster. They are afraid of him. And it's a more powerful ending. He just walks off with the rest of everybody. They separate, and he goes and joins society, and it's a much stronger ending. Agreed, Derek?
For sure. I mean, I think it makes more sense.
Well, especially, I mean, it's the way the novel ended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also more compelling, to be honest with you.
Instead of a bang ending, yeah. Grenade go boom ending. Yeah. They're like, this movie costs $200 million to make. Grenade go boom. So that's interesting. We'll stay on that same topic of Constantine, of I Am Legend, and talk about it and Constantine, because they are both getting sequels. And they are both apparently high priorities for Warner Brothers. So we are definitely getting a Keanu Reeves starring Constantine film.
Well, I'm definitely more excited for that than
me too.
For I Am Legend.
Dark, baby. Justice League Dark.
That would be cool to have a Justice League Dark. It really would. Keanu Reeves, I really liked Constantine. I liked Constantine a lot.
I agree, yeah.
That was a great movie.
I thought it was a lot of fun. It's not true to the character that, John Constantine is British. He has blonde hair. But you know what? Keanu Reeves kicks ass in it, and it's a good movie. It's fun. And this is the last bit of news, is Russell Crowe's new film is coming out. It is called The Pope's Exorcist. It has earned an R rating, and it'll be out on April 14th. So apparently Russell Crowe is the Pope's exorcist. He takes on the real life figure Father Gabriel Armoth, a priest who acted as chief exorcist of the Vatican and who performed more than 100,000 exorcisms in his life. Armoth wrote 2 memoirs and detailed his experience battling Satan and demons that had clutched people in their evils. He passed away in 2016 at the age of 91. That this guy did. What do you guys think of this as a thing? I mean, 10,000 exorcisms?
Didn't you say 100,000?
100,000. Yeah.
It was 91.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound. I don't know.
When he was 10, right? So that's 81. So 100,000 divided by 81. He'd have to do 1,234 exorcisms per year since he was 10 years old in order to do that's okay.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
might as well believe that there's never mind.
You might as well believe that exorcists are real.
Yeah.
Dang, that is. Yeah, this kind of movie is kind of one that I'm like, I am not excited about. I'll just say that. Not like, ooh, can't wait till that. But who'd you say? Russell
Russell
Crowe?
Crowe. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not excited for this one. No, it's not going to be good, guys.
Yeah, in that 2-hour movie, if he doesn't at least do like 1,000 exorcisms, I'm gonna call bullshit.
Dude,
Yeah.
can you imagine if the whole movie is just him? Cast out demon.
Yeah, it's like just every person that came up to him, he was like,
Yeah.
all right, I exercised that person.
You're possessed.
You have the devil in you, son.
Yeah, it sounds like the
Don't
Diddy
we
Kid
all?
story. Yeah, I don't know. I'll give it a shot. I like those, those thrillers, R-rated thrillers, exorcism thrillers. They're fun usually. I liked Stigmata. Remember that one when it came out?
I never saw that one.
It's a good one. So I'll give it a shot. I like Russell Crowe, but
I do like possession movies.
they're good. Yeah,
I
they're
like
fun.
ghost movies. I'm not a big Russell Crowe fan, honestly.
You didn't like Gladiator?
Hot take. Yeah, I did like Gladiator.
Gladiator's great. Everybody likes that. Have you seen The Other Guys? Or The Nice Guys, I mean. The Nice Guys.
The Nice Guys.
With he and
I think I've
Ryan
seen
Gosling.
I don't
You gotta
think I've
watch it. It is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite Russell Crowe movie by a large margin. I mean,
I know.
Gladiator is a classic piece of cinema, but The Nice Guys is hilarious. You gotta check it out.
No, we'll never get this, but I would have loved to have seen like a Last Days of Krypton movie with Russell Crowe as Jor-El.
Yeah, he was good as Jor-El at the beginning of Man of Steel.
Yeah.
And throughout the movie. Time out though, before we get into tonight's movie. I got a little side story about Russell Crowe that makes me laugh. Did you know they approached him to play Wolverine?
Really?
He was approached to play Wolverine after Dougray Scott dropped out. After Dougray Scott couldn't do it because Mission Impossible 2 went too long filming. They went to Russell Crowe. He turned it down because he was afraid of typecasting. You see, because he didn't know what a Wolverine was. He thought it was like a wolf. And in Gladiator, his character's called the Wolf, and he has like wolf armor and everything. So he was like, I don't want to be typecast as the wolf guy. And he's like, try Hugh Jackman.
Wow. Dang, he would have been great as Wolverine.
He would have been a really great Wolverine. I mean, Hugh Jackman is Wolverine, so we lucked out. It worked out.
Yeah.
But yeah, Russell Crowe would have been a very good Wolverine too.
He would have been, yeah.
But that's hilarious. He's like, I don't want to be the wolf guy.
Oh my gosh. Dude, this is one thing that comes up for me so much is that like city people don't know anything about animals.
Well, I mean, he's Australian, so he
should know a little bit about animals, right?
Yeah, but he just didn't. He thought a Wolverine was the same thing as like he thought it was part of the wolf family. So he's like, I don't want to be typecast as a wolf because I have wolves, you see, and they call me the wolf. All that shit in Gladiator, by the way, got cut out, so it makes it even more hilarious. Like, it's not a big emphasis in the movie.
Yeah, well, and it's like Wolverine is not about a Wolverine,
No,
it's not anything to do with an animal at all.
His nickname.
It's just the nickname. That's it. Like, come on. You didn't even try to look at the script.
Love it. He's like, listen, mate, not going to do a movie about wolves. They approached him for the Wolfman. He's like, don't even talk to me.
Yeah.
That's why in The Mummy, there are no Wolfmen because he's like, gotta keep them away from me. It's not true. That's just to be hilarious if that was the fact.
It's written in his contract, I will not be seen with wolves.
Yeah,
because I filmed one scene.
They offered him the gray and he's like, soft, mate. Can't be fighting wolves.
She probably would have been good in that too.
How ridiculous would it be if we did one entire episode with British accents?
Really bad. It would be unwatchable.
Give it a shot.
Unwatchable.
No, it would be.
What do you think,
gold.
Lydia?
I think I could do it.
Well, I'm sure we could do it. It would just be bad.
It would be bad.
It would be annoying after the 5-minute mark if we're being generous.
I mean,
I think it depends. I think it depends where your accent's from. You know,
Like I would make
Like-
something like the "Good night, Governor. I'm Dick Van Dyke."
yeah, like a odd, like Cockney.
Cockney accent.
Yeah,
Shim shim sharoo.
I feel like I'll just go into like a Harry Potter marathon and like come out with that and be like, okay, we can handle this.
Derek, give us a British accent real fast.
Oh man,
You brought it up.
I brought it up. Didn't say I was good at it.
Try it. Give us one.
I have to think about how a British person actually speaks. I mean, I can't do it on a whim.
Oh, the one I did.
Episode. What was I
I
doing?
don't-
This idea is already dead.
yeah, it already died. It would be me and
I would
me and
commit to
Jamie.
it. I would commit to it. Let's see. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not gonna do it.
Good idea, dude.
It's like I don't know. You're right.
I always do
You
from
could
Harry
use
Potter.
Hitchcock and
I
just
do.
speak with this droll accent.
Yeah, we'll just do Hitchcock for this entire episode.
Yeah.
I always say night to H3. Harry Potter. I always say that like every single time.
There is a scene in the shower upon this film. Speaking of which, let's get into Alfred Hitchcock's 1960 seminal classic, Psycho. Lydia, you picked this. Let's start with you. This isn't your first time watching this.
No. I don't know when my first time watching this was, though, honestly. I remember at one point I sat down and watched a Hitchcock marathon. It was kind of a weird time in my life, so I like really got into it and I really loved it. So,
Well,
you know, I'm a fan.
it's Hitch. If you're a filmmaker, you have to watch Hitchcock at least. You have to watch several Hitchcock movies. You have to watch Psycho if you're into horror, but you've got to watch North by Northwest, and you've got to watch Vertigo, which might be one of the best movies ever made. So, as a directing standpoint, you've got to watch those. Derek, is this your first time watching Psycho?
It was. I mean, it was black and white, so I tried to stay away from those movies.
Was it?
Jake was joking and saying Derek is probably watching the remake that's in color.
Oh, this must be it. It's in color. This is the first time I saw this movie. I've seen this movie.
I mean, you've seen scenes from it, I'm assuming.
yeah, I've seen like the shower scene, right?
Yeah, everybody's seen the shower scene, right?
And if somebody hadn't mentioned it, I think it was one of you two. The ending, although you could probably guess it, I knew what the ending was supposed to be, but I could see, when this aired in 1960,
1960, yeah.
it was probably an M. Night Shyamalan twist.
Yeah, it blew
I guess that
blew people's
it's-
minds, I would guess. Yeah, I would say it blew people's minds probably. It, like you said, if you're watching it now, or with all of the imitators that it's had over the years, it's just kind of, you already know that Norman Bates' mother now just instinctively.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not even a thing. But if you watch the movie, there are subtle clues to it that are laying it out for you. It's not like you have to follow the breadcrumbs just to figure it out. It's there if you're looking
Mhm.
for it. But if you're not, you're just along for the ride. You're just like, old lady is crazy. This is not my first time watching Psycho. I actually think I remember my first time watching Psycho. It was on Turner Classic Movies. It was in my early teens, and I was wanting to watch movies from the master, so it was coming on, and I was like, I'm going to sit down, and I like you guys, I knew everything. I knew what the ending was. That's just built into pop culture. I knew about the shower scene. So I sat down and watched it, and I was like, "Oh, this is a great movie." Very well made movie, great movie. And then I've watched it sporadically through the years. This is the first time I've watched it in at least a decade,
Mm-hmm.
probably more. But it's been a while since I've revisited it. But it's just so ingrained in everything that you can never not know the score. You can never not know the lines. You can never not know the certain set pieces. It's just kind of there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of there. Um. So yeah, that was the first time I watched it, and then I also remember watching the remake when it came out. Mom and Dad rented it on VHS, and I was like, "What the fuck is this shit?" I was like,
Who was in
"How
the remake?
dare you try to make a shot-by-shot remake of Psycho? What are you thinking? What are you, Psycho?"
Right.
Who was in the remake?
Vince Vaughn and Anne Heche.
And he played
He was
the main
Norman
character.
Bates. Yeah, he was Norman Bates.
That doesn't
Yeah.
work. Yeah, I agree.
It does. It does not.
Gus Van Sant actually directed it, who is the director of Good Will Hunting, a great director. As a matter of fact, the reason that this movie got made is that movie got made was Good Will Hunting was such a huge hit. The studio offered him anything anything he wanted to do, and he was like, "What's the most ridiculous thing I could ask for?" And see if they'd give it to me. I want to remake Psycho, and they're like, "Okay." He's like, "Well, fuck, I'm gonna remake Psycho." So he tried to do it like shot for shot. They used the same script. They didn't update the script. It was the same script. I mean, they added some scenes and some more viscera and violence and jerking off because it's the 90s, but they used the same script and they used the same score.
Man,
Which,
to
speaking of
think
which,
that,
good.
well, I was gonna say, like, one of the reasons why I think this movie works so well is that, man, and I knew this guy's name going into this, and now I can't think of it. Who's the main character? The actual
Norm,
actor's name?
oh, Anthony Perkins.
Anthony Perkins. Like, he comes across as the nicest guy. And then
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons why I think this movie works so well is he's so inviting as a
Well, yeah, he's
person.
very warm. Yeah.
Warm and
And then there's just underneath it, there's this level of creepiness and sadness
oh
that
man.
ramps up. Yeah.
Loneliness.
Loneliness. Yeah.
I
Let's
know
start with
go ahead.
let's start with talking about Perkins' performance. It's grade A stuff, man. It is Sarah and I were watching it today, and I said out loud, I was like, "What a phenomenal performance! What just like
Yes.
what a star-making performance! Brilliant, right?"
Yep.
Yeah.
You
Like you
cannot
said.
take your eyes off of him. Like
No,
it's like magic.
like you said, Derek. He's when you first meet him, he's so like inviting, and you just kind of feel sorry for him. Kind of feel sorry for him.
I mean, even like at first, like when you
Mhm.
start to feel sorry for him is when like they're in the like back office and they're talking and he's
Yeah,
brought some dinner and he's you're getting that vibe that he's stuck here and he's stuck here because he's taking care of his mother. But yeah, man, he just when she first meets him and it's just like I would totally like befriend that guy, which is the scary part.
yeah,
Like when you get to the end, it's super scary how like nice and gentle he comes across. Then when she's talking to him and she steps out of line a little bit, boy, the way that he just flips it
flips it. Yeah, really
is
great
just
stuff.
startling.
Yeah,
Because you're like,
it's
who the hell are you?
such a great performance. Yeah, it's just he's playing a guy, playing another guy, essentially. It's really there's layers to it. It's great. And he looks like $1,000,000. He's so handsome and just looks great on screen.
So young,
Um,
man. He's
so
so
yeah,
this.
and then let's talk about our who we think is going to be our lead, Janet Leigh's Marion Crane. But before we talk about Marion, I've got to talk about the opening titles of this movie, which rock, with Bernard Herrmann's iconic score.
Yeah.
Right?
I love how they just lay out the entire score for you, like
Yeah.
straight out the gate. They're like, we're gonna let you just listen to this whole thing, and then we're gonna start the movie. Yeah.
It's so good. If you watch Reanimator, they stole the score from Psycho. By the way, the Reanimator theme is Hitchcock's or Bernard Herrmann's score from Psycho. Great opening, and then we're introduced to Janet Leigh as Marion Crane. Which, if you don't know, of course, Janet Leigh is who?
Jamie Lee Curtis's mom.
Right. The start of the Scream Queens start with her, because this movie is this movie and another movie we'll talk about are basically the inceptions of what become the slasher movie. What do you guys think about Marion? Like, Sarah was watching this, and when she steals the money, Sarah's like, "Is she taking that money?" He's like, "Yeah." She goes, "Well, that's pretty shitty." I was like, "Yeah, it's not the
she's
best."
also a small business owner, and you know what I mean. Like, she's also got very different perspectives. But man, I looked it up. You know what that calculates to?
What?
Oh my gosh, I bet it's so much.
It's $400,000 in today's money.
Yeah, that's a good chunk of change. That's a chunk of.
Yeah.
That's a fat sack.
Yes.
Right. Well, at first I added like a zero to it, and it was like 400,000. It came out to 4 million. I'm like, what? Let me recalculate that.
Yeah.
No, it's 400,000. Still a lot of money.
A lot of money, and we're kind of introduced to her. The way we're introduced to her is very bold for 1960, guys. We're introduced to her in bed with a man wearing a bra. I mean, this is transgressive stuff in 1960. This is Hitchcock saying, "I don't give a fuck. I'm going, going for it." And we're introduced to Sam Loomis, who, of course, Dr. Sam Loomis is named after in Halloween. It's named after this character.
Nice.
Did not catch that until just now.
I don't think I did.
This is the only scene that didn't make sense to me. Like, I don't know why it felt like they were hiding it, because he wasn't married. She wasn't married.
It's because he was going through a divorce. Like, he was finishing up a divorce. He has no money for her. And it's improper in 1960 to not be marrying the girl you're canoodling with.
Yeah.
So,
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, at first I was thinking the same thing. I think in different versions of this, they are having an affair, which would make sense, but that would make both of them less likable, right?
Right.
We need them to be likable, especially since she's about to steal a bunch of money. So we're going to need to figure some way to root for her. And dude, when she talked, Sarah did not like the old boy that she's talking to that gives them the money. She's like, "What a fucking creep."
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing that I took from that scene is like that kind of guy, that kind of personality who will walk into a room and target someone.
Yep.
That is so you deserve to have all of your money stolen. Like,
yeah, predatory.
And that's not like he has plenty of money. Like he's like, this is just the stuff I carry around. You know?
Yeah,
like
he wants it.
You're inviting it. You're inviting it to be stolen. Like
100%.
that guy was such a jerk. Just the way he talked was irritating.
Came on to her like hardcore and is like,
I've had that happen. Like that kind of stuff happen to me.
Somebody dropped 40 G's on you?
No, but if they would have, I would have taken it in a heartbeat.
No,
just for that, just for targeting me out of a group of people. Like I hate when men do that. It's the most annoying thing.
I've never had that happen to me, so I can't relate.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, I usually just cast a wide net and just like I'm shrimping. Just throw the wide net and see whatever comes back.
It's usually pretty short for me. I walk up to girls and I'm like, "Hey there, groovy chick."
That's true.
Yeah. And then the conversation's over.
Thank God we found our wives, Derek. Thank God we found our wives.
Well, I did ask me out, so
yeah, Mine asked me out too. We'd still be on the search if not.
If you would have asked your wives out, do you think it would have went differently?
Mine, I think, would have. I think mine would have stayed the same. I think mine would have been the same. Been to me, obviously. So
Great.
So
Good point.
funny. I inquired first. Like I saw her from afar, and I was like, oh, we work together, and I was like, oh man, she's really pretty. Maybe I should ask her out. So then I talked to a guy that I worked with who just happened to be like the busybody of the 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 company. And so anyway, then he like goes right up to her brother. He's like, "So is Quincy dating anybody? Derek likes her." I'm like, you a hole.
Hey,
I did that to somebody before, and they didn't like it, so I was kind of payback. But
I was gonna say, do you remember the time that you asked about the girl that liked you, and then she was like, "Were you checking up on me? I did not like that."
oh no, it wasn't even that I liked her. It was we prank phone called her.
I know that's what I'm saying. You didn't like her, but she was like liked you during the prank phone call.
Yeah, and then yeah, I remember that. And then she was like, "You checking up on me? I mean, wouldn't you?"
You did just follow up with me while I was pranking you.
Yeah. What kind of a girl does that?
So, what do you guys? She takes the money. Steve Miller bans it, takes the money and runs. And she is so awkward with the police. I don't know why she's just so awkward. She's like the least smooth criminal. That is for sure, right?
Yeah. Well, because she's so guilty.
Yeah, and she feels so
She's
bad.
not used to that. Like she's not like trained herself. You know,
Yeah,
I think I would be the same way because I'm a terrible liar. If I have to lie about like the tiniest little thing, like a surprise or I'm like sweating bullets. You know.
Yeah, and part of her problem was she painted herself into like a, a paranoid state. Because like when she's driving, she's having this internal monologue of like events that she just knows are playing out, and it's going to happen. And so,
isn't that scene great?
I
Isn't
love
that scene
it.
great?
I love it.
It's so great because it's just the dialogue playing over just a shot of her face, and we see all of the emotions on her face. It's beautiful.
I love those scenes of
Fucking
her
Hitchcock.
driving.
Yeah,
That's like
great
the
stuff.
whole reason I picked this movie. Honestly, I just kept thinking about those scenes of her driving and like the anxiety.
Yeah, the tension's tight, man. The tension's tight when she goes in to trade in that car, and she's fucking awkward as fuck to that guy too.
Yes, the cop is there. You're like,
Yeah,
shit.
dude, that cop, he knew. He had a nose for it. He's like, why is she acting all weird? I was just like, hey, are you all right? And she's like,
yeah,
I didn't do anything.
Yeah. Well, and I heard that Hitchcock was like afraid of police.
Yeah, yeah.
So like
You,
that.
you know that guy had skeletons in his closet.
I don't even think they were in the closet. I think they were out. That's Tippi Hedren.
Right.
Yeah. Like, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
What was I gonna say? Yeah, 100%, man. She is so awkward. So here's full disclosure, okay? You know that I am not fond of black and white movies, and something like a movie like this it's a really a big disservice to that movie because like there were a couple points where I was like, man, I need a break from this movie, and it's for no other reason than I was just like it's in black and white, I guess. But even me, I felt the tension in these scenes, and I thought they were really well done. And I can't even imagine what that would have been like if this was the first time you saw anything like this. It's
Yeah, it's
crazy.
interesting. It was interesting that Hitchcock decided to shoot it in black and white. Really, I mean, color films were definitely a thing in 1960. I mean, 2 years before that, he made one of the most beautiful color films ever made in North by Northwest. Um, so it's not like, I mean, budgetary is part of it because black and white film was way cheaper stock.
Mm-hmm.
And he also he used the cameras in the equipment that he was using for his TV show at the time, Alfred Hitchcock Presents. So he used that crew to make this movie. So it's like, that's why he did it on the cheap and he knew he could make the budget that way. And it also makes it, I think, more beautiful because we see these stark shadows and stuff, especially the shower scene. The shower scene does not work in color.
Yeah, and that's what he said. It would, if it was in color, it would have been too gory.
In
To see
1960,
blood
it would have been
going down the
1960,
drain like that.
It would have been for sure.
Yeah,
So he was like, I want it black and white.
That was the one focal point I thought of why they did it in black and white was I was like, man, if this was in color at this point in time, that would have been a big deal. That shower
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah.
So
It was a big deal anyways, you know?
It was because, well, for multiple reasons. First of all, because we spend like 25 minutes with the Marion Crane character. She's our lead. We spend no time with anybody else, just Marion. After that opening scene with her and Loomis, it's her with other characters. And it's just like she's our lead, you know. Normal movie logic would lead us to dictate that she's going to be our final girl. She's our lead.
Right.
And instead, after 25 minutes, this isn't even like, you know, bump her off in the first 5. This is 25 minutes. We spend like a quarter of the running time with this character.
Yeah.
And then she meets Norman. And we already talked about how great those scenes are, just thick with tension. And it's, well, especially when she starts picking up on his weirdness. I mean, first of all, he's all about talking about his stuffed birds, and you're like, probably pick a different topic. Probably pick a different topic, Norman. But I get it. You don't know how to talk to people. And then we get the shower scene. Let's talk about it. Let's discuss it. Let's break this bitch down because it is masterful filmmaking.
mhm.
The tension, the way it ratchets up the tension with, you know, her. First of all, we see her in her bra multiple times, which is so provocative for 1960. Then she's nude. We don't see it, of course, but she's nude.
Yes.
She's in the shower, and we're watching her shower.
Yeah.
We are voyeurs. We're watching her shower. We shouldn't be watching somebody shower. And then in the background, we see the door open. And we know somebody's there, and she's oblivious to it. And we're stuck. There's nothing we can do to help this woman. And then when the attack comes, it's so brutal and vicious for 1960, especially. It's just sudden. We get the great kill strings and these amazing shot selections where we never see her stabbed.
Yeah.
We see the knife against the skin, against her belly, which is super provocative,
Yeah.
and we just see the aftermath. What are you guys' thoughts on this thing?
So many thoughts. It's so weird because it's like kind of realistic,
Very realistic.
right? And that's what's like really freaky about it. It's not some like, you know, it's not like it's an act that's like, oh, and then our character dies, you know. It's like this is someone being murdered.
Well,
Our character is being murdered. Like right now.
especially since it's so unceremonious in it. The money thing plays no part of the plot from then on.
Yeah.
It's just like real life.
It is.
It's just like
chaotic.
Yeah, just chaos.
Murder. Yep. And yeah. And oh my gosh, the scene of like her eye, like just like her
beautiful.
Eyeball being dead.
And then we pull, and she holds it for so long,
looking at the side.
That's
great.
How sad is that?
And the way we pull out, so good.
It's disturbing for sure.
So Derek, go ahead.
Yeah, go. What were we gonna?
No, you go ahead first. No, go ahead first.
Okay. So one thing that I really liked about this scene was, so you've seen this scene in a million copycat ways in tons of movies. You know what I mean? One thing that they do in those movies is it's sudden. You know, the door opens, and you do a couple of cutbacks, things like that. It actually, in its benefit, because you're so used to this prolonged suspense. I love how you see the door open and it's like 1, 2, and then just like, bam, it's right there. There's the suspense is, you're waiting for it, and then it just happens. And I think that added to that scene for me because I've not seen this movie before.
Yeah, the bluntness of it. Yeah, well, I mean, the shower scene, like you said, it's been done a million. We've done a shower scene. In Secret Admirer, we do a shower scene. We reverse the script. Instead of having, you know, her taking a shower and the killer attacking her, we have the killer waiting for her in the shower. That way we could kind of turn it on its head. but we stuck to the Hitchcock, suddenness, boom, 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 kill, kill, kill.
Mhm.
But we would it wouldn't, we never, certain shots, you have no idea the restraint it took me to not feel blood going down the drain. It was so hard. Because I was like, yeah, no. I remember shooting it and we have the blood in the water. And I was like, don't do it. No, don't do it. Instead, let's just get a shot of her dead face. That's what we did with blood dripping down her mouth. But I was like, who doesn't love that shot? But everybody's done it because this scene's so iconic. And what is even scarier after the murder is Norman cleaning it up.
Yep.
Well, that adds to the facade, because at this point, his shock or surprise leads you to believe that there are, spoiler alert,
Yeah,
they're
obviously. Yeah.
different people, and so like he's frantic, he's all over the place. He goes to get some mop and all this stuff, and it was great. It really
Those
looked.
scenes of the scenes of the blood in the bathtub, like, and he's mopping it up,
Mhm.
is so effective. Which,
It's
by the
so
way,
easy.
it's that's what's scary about it. What's scary about it is it's just so easy for
To
him
get away with
to
it.
cover up this murder.
Yeah.
So easy.
They don't have forensics.
They didn't know what luminol was yet. Yeah, they would never have been able to look for the blood. He just cleans it up. By the way, they use chocolate syrup for blood. Shows up great in black and white film. But yeah, the way the blood splattered throughout, he's cleaning it. That's just terrifying. And he wraps her in the shower curtain, and like we said, doesn't even know about the money. He just throws it in the swamp with the rest of her, with her brand new cool car that she got.
Which is also just tragically upsetting.
Yeah. And we find out later, of course, that he has murdered multiple women and put them into this swamp. We find that out, towards the end of the movie. So can you imagine? It's 1960. You're watching this film. The shower scene happens, and then the woman you've been following for the last 25 minutes, your protagonist, is dead. Like, what the hell? You're just like,
how shocking. How shocking is that?
Very. You're just literally like, what? What am I doing here?
So, Jamie, you are more of a historian on film than especially me. What was this movie like when it came out? Like, what was the buzz around it?
Oh, it was hugely popular. It was a huge hit.
Well, I meant
Critically,
like, did it get any type of pushback?
Pushback? Oh, yeah, of course it did. So I was going to talk about this a little later, but the reason I said this, there's a movie that beat Psycho to the cinemas by mere months, a British film by the British filmmaker Michael Powell, called Peeping Tom. Have either of you heard of Peeping Tom?
No.
Oh, we've got to do Peeping Tom. We've got to do it. Peeping Tom is also a forebearer of the slasher. It is about a guy who films his murders. Like, he films his murders. So a very similar subject matter. Peeping Tom came out first and was ravaged by critics. Now it's considered a classic. Was ravaged by critics and the press, calling it immoral and all of those things that, they like to pearl clutch. So when Psycho came out, it received better buzz because Hitchcock did not do press screenings because of Peeping Tom. So there was no press screenings, no pre-screens. If they wanted to see it, they had to go buy a ticket to it. So yeah, there was definitely, pushback and pearl clutching, but the difference is Peeping Tom bombed, which is why you guys don't know about it. And Psycho was a massive hit. The audiences were like, what?
Yeah. And it was advertised as like it was a rule that had never been done, where Hitchcock made it a rule in every cinema that you could not come in halfway through the movie.
Can't come in late. Yeah.
You can't come in late. You have to watch it from the beginning to the end. Like, that's it. No other option. Yep. And people would try to trick them too and be like, oh, I need to see this and I'm late. And they would be like, no, you can't go in
Not
late.
happening.
So that no one, because if you came in halfway through,
It wouldn't be as effective.
it wouldn't be as effective. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Which is crazy to think.
the effectiveness of the movie is built upon that Marion Crane death.
Mm-hmm. And you
So-
have to be attached to her.
Yeah, if you come in halfway, you're just kind of like,
You just see
this-
her
this
die and you
character
don't
died.
care.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you might get a bad review from someone,
Exactly.
How
So
crazy
here's
is that?
Yeah, it's brilliant. But here's what's wild about this movie is if I were to break down Psycho, if somebody told me to break down the structure of Psycho, it is essentially a story. Norman Bates is our protagonist, essentially, but it is a story of 3 vignettes of 3 separate sets of protagonists. We have the Marion Crane story, which ends about the first act mark. Then we get the Abergast story with the private investigator is our second vignette. And so it just literally, we switch protagonists because we're introduced to Lily. We're introduced to her, her sister, and she goes and confronts Sam because she thinks that she's harboring her because it's Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And the money's gone. She's gone. The boss saw her driving on the road that day. And so they're like, listen, we don't want to get the police involved. We just want the money back. So maybe we can, settle this all amicably.
Oh man, I got a theory.
Go ahead. What is it?
You want to hear my theory? Okay, here's my theory. That old guy, not the owner of the more title place, because I'm pretty sure she works at a title place. He's that guy who was creepy and targeted her was buying a house for his daughter.
Baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
My little baby.
Who loses $40,000 or $400,000 and does not call the police? That guy was. He was not up and up.
Or he's just $40,000 to him is like losing $20 for us.
And I guess that could be, but
say I never carry anything that I will miss. So
yeah, no, he's a mobster or something. That's my story. But anyway,
I don't know about a mobster. He's maybe part of the
no credence to any of that, but that was my take.
I can't see him giving orders, but like, hi there now. So Abergast. What do you guys think of Abergast in this whole story with the private investigator? What do you guys think of this section?
Abergast.
I like him. Yeah, he's cool.
Great, right?
Yeah, well cast, and the actor did a great job. And man, he definitely comes across as a super competent private eye.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I really like his character.
Yeah, they do a good job of building him up in a very small time, a very short time. Because when you're first introduced to him, he's kind of introduced as like kind of an antagonist almost,
like kind of a jerk.
Yeah, like an antagonist. And then as his story develops, you see that he's not. He's warm to these people, and he genuinely wants to find the girl. He doesn't, he's happy to report that Sam has nothing to do with the disappearance and the money, and that he just wants to find this girl. So yeah, the scene with he and Norman is awesome. Where he's questioning, that's great stuff. Because Norman tries his nice guy facade and he like pushes through it at first, and then he catches him in a lie. And as soon as he catches him in a lie, so he catches him in that one lie, Abergast knows something's wrong and he just keeps digging. And then Norman's story literally just unravels in front of our eyes to where he has to admit, yeah, she was here. She left early in the morning. Yeah, she was here. Because
it's like stuttering and...
Yeah, because he starts with, nope, nobody's been in here for a couple weeks. Well, just last week. Oh, but you just said. It's just like... Yeah.
I think great. And just the way that both he and Norman interacted with it comes across as really genuine, which is just a credit to the acting of this movie. And again, coming back to the realism uh, of what you could see in real life, and I think that's why it didn't work with Vince Vaughn, or why I haven't seen the movie, but I can just see why it wouldn't have worked with him. Is Norman starts off with his nice guy act, you know what I mean, and so like it's pretty brilliant. It's good.
And that's the thing. I don't even think it's an act. Like, I think Norman is a nice guy.
Well,
But
when we span out the sequels, you're absolutely right. Yeah,
he's not always himself, right? Like, he is, but he's not.
But in this instance, even if he is a nice guy, he's definitely lying to cover for his mom.
Right.
So
yes.
he's not being truthful. He's trying to just shoo this guy away.
Mm-hmm.
And it just does not work. And then when he said, oh, am I going to need a warrant? He's like, well, you can come and check the cabins with me. And he immediately, like, moves cabin 1. And then he sees, mother up in the window. And it's just like, I've got to
go for cabin 1.
Yeah. That immediately sparked it, because he knew that she was in cabin 1. He saw the sign-in sheet. And what's great, that confrontation between them when he's talking about going up and seeing the mother is great because of Perkins's acting in that moment. Like, he's just like, no, look, she's sick, and it starts at first just no, then it becomes more stern. I think you need to leave. And he's just like still trying. He's like, oh, come on, man, can't wait. And he's like, no. So he's like, all right. But he can't let it go. It sticks in his craw. He's like, something's funky here. So he makes a call to our crew and tells them, tells Lily, hey, guess what? I don't think he was involved. I don't think he was involved. And, I don't think Loomis was involved. But there's something going on with this Bates. I think that the mother saw something or talked to her. So I'm going to go back and try to talk to her. Now, guys, here's where he makes a mistake. I would never enter somebody's house without their permission as a private investigator. I mean, I know from experience I would never do that.
Yeah.
So that's wild, first of all. That's wild.
That is breaking and entering.
Yes, it is. It is literally illegal. But man, his kill is great.
It is great.
So you haven't seen this, Derek. What'd you think of his kill?
I love how sudden it was, and
it's so sudden. Yeah.
Yeah, because mother just comes running out of the room with a knife, and just as he's at the crest of the stairs, and then that shot of him falling down the stairs is
such a Hitchcock shot.
Yes, yeah, I love that shot.
Such a Hitchcock shot.
The Jake way didn't like it.
She stabs him in the face. He gets him right in the face, and then starts stabbing him to death. But I love the suddenness too. I love the angle where we are, where he puts the cameras in a perfect spot, and it comes out like the music hits, and you just jump, and then she's out, and it's just so sudden. You're like, oh my god, and then he falls. And then she just ends him.
Yes.
So good.
Love it.
The best movie I've ever seen them do a face stab. This is weird, but it's the only movie that's really made me cringe. Tom Hiddleston got stabbed in the face in Crimson Peak.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And that scene is it.
Yeah, that was shocking.
Yeah, that's some Guillermo at his finest. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Man, that shocked me. When I watched that, Jake fell asleep, so I was watching it in the dark by myself, and I was so not expecting to see something like that.
Dude, I went to the movie with my ex-girlfriend to see that, and was expecting this more horror movie, and it was this gothic romance, and I was like, yeah, this is not what I expected at all.
Yeah.
What that makes me think of something. It's off topic, but I've got to tell it's funny. I remember the weirdest movie I ever went and saw by myself. I was I don't know, 12, 13. I was bored by myself. No, I was bored by myself. I was bored at home in our hometown. You know, we only used to have a twin, so we used to have just 2 movies playing at a time. One was a Disney movie, and the other one was Message in a Bottle with Kevin Costner.
Oh my
So
god.
like I didn't never seen a preview for Message in a Bottle. I knew nothing about it. I was like, Kevin Costner. I expected there's like the ocean on it and a boat. I expected it to be like some kind of seafaring adventure. I was like, sure. So it's me and like a couple in this theater, maybe another couple people, but I sit towards the front and I'm like I said, 12 years old. I'm sitting there in this fucking romance movie with Kevin Costner plays. And I remember once it starts, I'm just like, oh no, this is awkward. So I just sit there and watch the movie. I was like, I paid my $2 for it. I'm not gonna leave, but it's so fucking awkward.
That's hilarious. And that's why you've seen every movie ever.
Yeah, yeah, because it's just like, gotta give him a shot, even
Yeah.
if you have to be stuck awkwardly.
What was the Disney movie playing?
I do not remember. It was one I think I'd already seen it, so I was like, I'll go see this, because I already seen this.
Gosh, for $2, I mean, that's not a bad deal.
I mean, that was
Go watch a movie.
Used to be
Remember when
$2.75.
5 cents.
I do too. Yeah.
And then I remember when they went up to $1, and then Star Wars:
Mm.
The Phantom Menace
Yep.
changed it. Is when it changed.
Yep. It's like $2.75 after that.
Yep. And then they're like, yeah, we can get away with this.
Dude, I remember going to the theater and buying my ticket early, and it just was a like pathetic little ticket stub. It wasn't even like a cool Star Wars one. It just was a little ticket stub. And I'm like, yeah. It's like, hopefully I don't lose this because I fucking got it like 3 weeks early. Anyway, back to Psycho. So we're into the final stretch here, this third act. What do you guys think of so they go and they talk to the sheriff. He's like, he relays some information to us, gives us some vital information. So this would have shocked you in 1960, right? We find out that Mother is dead. Mother, 10 years she's been dead in Green Lawn Cemetery. She
in a periwinkle dress.
Yep. Murder-suicide with strychnine, right? Just like Dunsky. So immediately you're like, what? But we saw her, we saw her. And that starts to sow the seeds where if you didn't figure it out before, you probably could start figuring it out at this point. But then we get into this third act. What do you guys think of this third act with Sam, Lila, and Norman Bates?
It's awesome. I like seeing these two buddy up and go. They're like so determined to find answers.
Yeah, they want to know where Marion is. Yeah,
and they're both great too. Their performances are really amazing.
They are fantastic. You have Vera Miles as Lila, and then John Gavin, who plays Sam Loomis, was actually tapped to play James Bond after Sean Connery. If Sean Connery wasn't going to come back for Diamonds Are Forever, John Gavin was going to be James Bond.
Wow.
But then Sean Connery came, which is for the best because, I mean, we don't need an American James Bond, guys. He's British. So they tried to do that so often in the 60s, in the 70s. They're like, Burt Reynolds as James Bond. I was like, are you out of your fucking mind? What are you talking about?
So many handsome Americans out there, though.
Yeah, there are handsome Americans, but, he's got to at least have a British accent, if nothing else.
That's interesting.
So this third act is actually pretty cool, I think, because we get this. First of all, we see Norman carry Mother down to the fruit cellar.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
She's yelling at him the whole time. And then Loomis distracts Bates. He goes in and just starts talking to him, distracting him, while she goes into the house to try to speak with this old woman, because she knows there's an old woman there. Abergast told her, and she knows he's not lying. She knows he didn't run off with the money. It's not who he was. She's like, something happened. So she goes down. The only awkward edit in this movie is Loomis and Bates's fight scene. It's like really just kind of sudden. He just like cracks him on the head, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was. I completely agree.
Yeah. That scene in general, kind of the way it was edited, kind of felt slightly off a little bit. Not that it's bad. It just kind of wasn't as masterful as the rest of the movie. But this ending is crackerjack because she goes down in the cellar when she sees Norman Bates coming into the house, and she sees Mother sitting in a chair. She spins around and sees this decayed corpse. And then she hears this commotion behind her, and Norman Bates, wearing a dress and a wig with a giant butcher knife, comes barreling after her. And he's stopped by, Loomis, who basically just overpowers him because he's a much bigger guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of this ending here?
I love it. I love the scream. I like that the light is swinging. Like she like hits the light and it just like
So it
yeah.
swings when he comes in.
And I love the corpse. Like that is cool. Like that was a good corpse. I like it.
Yeah, because he had tried to taxidermy it. So what's really cool about it is it's like decaying, but he tried to preserve it as best as he could. So it's got some like kind of flesh on it.
Yeah, it's got like this like wrinkly leather skin.
Leather skin.
On its way to being mummified, yeah.
Yeah, and it's got these like the sunken in eyeballs where like you can just see the flesh in there. It's really cool.
Yeah, and this is also kind of awkward, like whenever he's restraining him and like just the face that he's making.
Yeah, well, I think he's like becoming like he's realizing his personalities. Yeah. Good ending though, right? Good stuff. Good reveal. Can you? If you had never seen this, or if you never heard anything about this, would that have blown you away?
100%, man. I can't even imagine. And to an extent, that's what makes it hard for me is like to really appreciate the genius of a movie like this. Is I've seen hundreds and thousands of movies over the course of my life, and like the times are just different. You're desensitized to these things. We have M. Night Shyamalan. You know what I mean? Like those twists are more commonplace now. Can't really put my mind, uh, in the '60s and seeing this for the first time and what that would have felt like, because I'm sure it was like earth shattering to some people. They're like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah. Then we get what is my least favorite scene of the movie, which is the detownment, where the psychologist comes in and breaks down everything that audiences could have put together themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, we get this 5-minute scene of this psychiatrist feeding us exposition. What do you guys think of the exposition scene?
I actually don't mind it too much. I don't mind it. And I do like the end of like
the end with Bates is great.
Yes, I like the end with Bates.
Yeah, we would need to talk.
So I feel like you kind of need this like weird exposition.
It could have been handled way better, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's literally just like...
So it could have been handled much worse.
Well, maybe. But like, it's just literally, he's like, well, let's see what the psychiatrist has to say. Boy, let me tell you about what I saw in there. So there's 2 personalities, in case you didn't pick up on that by watching the film with your eyeballs.
Mm-hmm.
And then guess what? I think the mother is taking over. You're like, you could have done it like a little less stilted. And there's some okay shots, but the shot selection is even kind of stilted because it's like, just medium.
Right, yeah.
And it's just kind of stagey. And Hitchcock isn't stagey. But
it's like the most stagey out of this entire movie for sure.
It's just not the greatest. But then we get the actual ending with Mother talking over Norman Bates sitting in the cell, and that scene rules.
Man.
Yeah, with the fly.
What do you think there?
It is just a credit to the actor. Whenever he's the internal monologue, Mother's internal monologue is going on, and she just got a blanket because she was cold, and you know what I mean? And like he starts out as kind of fragile and all this, and then the look he gives at the end, man, where he just like looks up is so menacing.
So good. Yeah.
Just like the transformation from like the first time you meet him to the last time you see him is just it's kind of scary.
When he
That
says,
shark that lives underneath the calm water. You know what I mean?
yeah. When she says, "No, that's what they'll say. She never hurt a fly." It's just such a great line. The way he looks up at the camera, you're just like, all right, well. Then we're into the win it, did it, did it. Yeah, great stuff. Like the ending a lot. It's good. Very powerful way to end this movie, I feel like. So, guys, that was Hitchcock's Psycho. What do you guys think? Who wants to start with this one? You want to start, Lydia, since you picked it?
Yeah, I guess I'll start.
Do it.
Oh man, I really like this movie. I like the shots. I love black and white. I love Hitchcock. I love the performances. The list goes on and on. It's just so good. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I actually want to say. This movie. I just really like it a lot. It's good. I think I'm gonna give it a 9. And I feel like I have to because I gave Maximum Overdrive an 8.
Yeah. Way for the Maximum Overdrive.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I'm gonna give it a 9. It's like I almost want to give it a 10 because it's that good. I don't know. I think like out of all the movies that we watched, this one actually is scary in so many ways. Like
yeah,
put
yourself in that situation.
And I do. I put myself in it. I put myself in their lives. Like the sister, like getting like you're attached to this woman and she gets murdered, and now you're with her sister who cares about her and is looking for her, and now you realize like the sister is gonna discover that her sister is dead.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is so upsetting. I put myself in their shoes every time, and it just gets me. It's like a true crime scenario.
We call that in the biz empathy. That's what you have.
I have so much empathy. I have way too much empathy, guys.
So, what are you giving it?
9.
Derek.
Well, it's not a secret that I don't like black and white movies, right? Okay.
Yeah, because sometimes you don't even know they're black and white.
That is true.
Because he doesn't look at them.
Yeah.
God, it's hideous.
So I feel like, and the reason why, like the era that black and white movies were traditionally made, I feel like is really like stage acting just being filmed. You know what I mean?
There can be. Yeah, there's definitely some of that. Yeah.
And it takes away from the realism, which is why you watch a movie to see like how this situation would unfold, you know, in a semi way.
Yeah.
As corny as that sounds. So like I really enjoy movies that come across as like real scenarios. I feel like it helps you get into the movie a little bit more.
It suspends your disbelief.
Yeah. So this movie doesn't fall into that trap, and it's probably because it was filmed in the 60s, so like the transition had already happened. They just did it in black and white. And so that like one aspect that I don't really like about those older movies kind of isn't there. And then you think about the historical like impact that a movie like this has and what it did for movies to push them forward. What came after that?
Yeah, the starting point of the slasher movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so like that cannot be understated for a movie like this. So even though it's black and white, I'm not going to give it a perfect 10, but it's going to fall just short of a 4.5.
What?
Just kidding. This movie was a solid 9.75 for me.
Yeah, it's a great one. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 9, almost a 10. I think. I mean, I just have. I gave.
Do it. Do it.
I
Do
gave
it.
It's a 10. I don't want to be a 10 whore, but it's a 10. It's a 10. It's a great movie. It's a great. My little quibbles that I have with it are just that little quabbles that don't really amount to anything for a movie that is as pioneering as this movie is. Really, I mean, it's no secret. You guys know my favorite genre of horror movie is the slasher. I just love the slasher. Now, of course, there's movies that are scarier, better made as far as other genres, but slashers just speak to me, man. I love them. They're just fun and a blast. This is the apex of that. This is where it starts. And what's important about it is it takes the horror out of the Gothic castles of the Hammer films of the 50s and early 60s, and it takes them out of the Gothic in the faraway Eastern European lands, and it puts it in modern America, in, right outside your city, at that hotel that you're driving at because your eyes are just too tired and you can't stay on the road. That guy could be in there. That you could be stopping at that hotel, and that's terrifying. That is the terrifying. So it changed the game in so many ways. So many inventive techniques were used to make this movie too. It's made on a smaller budget and had a killer multiplier. Made buku bucks. So yeah, it's a 10. It's a great movie. Derek, it's your turn to pick. What are we following up a Hitchcock's masterpiece with?
Well, I've been doing some thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we're gonna do Critters 3.
Okay.
What do you guys think?
I think you had to think so hard about that just now.
I hope you guys enjoyed last week's episode, which was a remake of a previous episode. We thought it'd be fun to try to pop off a remake, and if anybody noticed. So hopefully you liked last week's remake of Evil Dead 2. So where can we find Critters 3, Derek?
I have no idea. I've got it on DVD, so
I'll do what I do every week. Critters 3 streaming. It is available for free on YouTube.
Oh, wow, that's saying something.
That is saying something. Yep, it is available. Let's see. Let me get. Looks like it's free on YouTube. Free on YouTube. It is a movie that exists that we're doing. So, Critters 3 next week is available on YouTube. Derek, you have a story to tell, yes?
yeah. Now let me think about it. What were we talking about?
Oh no, let me pull up some old episodes. Maybe we talked about it then.
Man, it was about. I know it was about an ex-girlfriend and something shitty she did.
Yes,
but I forget what it was. It was because we were talking about. Man, what were we talking about? Oh well, I don't know. Gosh dang it! What was it?
We were talking about how.
Oh,
I remember.
Yeah, was it about our girlfriends? How we met our wives?
How you were asking if
out.
I asked you if you would have asked your wives out if the outcome would have been the same.
No, it was
on that track.
Yeah, but it was before that, and it was something that Jamie had said. I don't know.
Well, just think of another story.
I did have to propose. All right, so Quincy was not the first girl that I proposed to. I'll tell this story because it really depresses me. So
bring the podcast.
So this is a therapy sesh right now.
Yeah, so anyway, I dated this girl in high school. She and I dated for like 8 years. And at one point, I was like, hey, I'm going to go to her parents' house awkwardly when she's not home and she's at college and just hang out with her parents. But I did it the right way. I asked her parents if I could ask her to marry me. And they're like, yeah, you can. Okay. So I called her one day and I was like, hey, kind of like a Romeo and Juliet type thing. I was like, come to your window. So this was the window that I used to climb up
Mhm. Where you lost
in her
the
bedroom. Yeah. And so I was like, come to your window. And so like she came to her window and I had it wasn't a ladder, it was something else, like a stepping thing that I stepped on. Anyway, I like stepped up and I had a rose in my hand and I was like, I wanted to ask you to marry me. And she was like, yeah. And then so like I go in there, yeah, no, I mean she said yes,
Yeah, yeah.
all that stuff. And so but here's where it gets this is the depressing part. I thought that, and I could have been my interpretation because I'm not her, but I was like, oh man, that was super romantic. So whenever I went into her house and we like told her parents what had just happened, they're like, great. She was walking me back to my car, and she asked me if I would do it again, but this time in a more traditional way on my knee. I was like, sure.
That is
So
hilarious.
I had to ask her twice.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes you have to do things twice in order to get them right. Propose, record episodes. It's something that happens. Second time's always the best.
It's life imitating art.
Yeah.
Imitating.
That's terrible though that she legitimately was like, "Oh, why don't you do it again?"
Oh well, that was so another. This is kind of in that same vein, or an artery that she like cut open. She knew that I had gotten a ring at one point, but she didn't know when it was gonna happen. She was like, just describe it to me. And me being a guy, I'm like, I don't know what cut diamonds. I was like, I don't know. It's football shaped. She went on their website and found the ring
Mm.
that I had gotten, and she like started crying one day when we were on. I was like, "What's wrong?" She was like, "I went online and I found the ring." And I was like, "Okay." And she was like, "I don't think I'm gonna like it." so, so I had to take that.
No idea why this relationship didn't last.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had to take it back and get a different ring.
You dodged a bullet on that one, buddy.
I know, man.
Especially, when
breadcrumbs were there.
yeah, I mean, then when the born again V happened, it was just
Yeah, I hung in there for like 4 years.
you did.
It too long, but it was all right.
Then on the sixth day, you rested.
No, so it's hilarious because like when I was younger, I would say I was a fairly romantic guy, and now my wife like just thinks that that's the most foreign thing in history for me. She was like, "You're not romantic." I was like, "Well, no. When you get burned enough, you're just like, I don't give a shit anymore." But yeah,
That's great. I'm glad that we just broke your heart all over again in the
well,
end of the Psycho podcast.
yeah. Did I tell you guys whenever I like made a, a like kind of a dance in my living room?
I have heard this
That's
story, but I don't think Lydia has.
You made a dance?
yeah.
Like
So like
choreographed a dance?
No,
No.
that would have been hilarious. I would have made fun of him for years for that.
Okay.
my grandma was ill, and I didn't want to leave town because she actually passed away like not too long ago after this happened. But like Amy wanted to go to one of her she was in a sorority at Ball State and she wanted to go to a formal, and it was before I went to Ball State with her. And so like she was real depressed and I was like, all right, here's the deal. I can't go there, but I'm gonna have my mom and my sister come into my house because I was renting an apartment, take all the furniture out of my living room, put balloons and like get a disco ball and like all this stuff. And so we get to back to my apartment and I'm like, wait here. And I run up and I make sure everything is set. And they're the boom box and it looks great. And so it's like a mini little dance. And so I bring her into my apartment and we're dancing and she starts crying. And like in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I did this right. And I'm like, oh, what's wrong? And she goes, this just makes me realize what I'm missing. And I'm like, oh, fuck. I was like, okay, well, I gave it a shot.
What do you think of this, Lydia?
Yeah, that's sorry, I was hearing like some like creeping up the stairs. That's my dog. It's like freaking me out for a second. It's really dark over there. Yeah, that's I feel really bad because I feel like that's super sweet. Like I wish somebody would have done that for me because I hated going to dances. But I
Yeah.
always felt like I had to go, you know?
Yeah, it's one of the sweetest things. I remember when he told me that, and I was like, "Oh, that's awesome, man." And he's like, "Yeah." Then she was like, "It makes me realize what I was missing," and I was like, "And you didn't kick her out of the house at that point?"
I feel like, oh, thanks. Yeah.
Hit bricks, lady. Here's
Yeah.
a football-shaped ring. Give it back to me.
That's the same person?
Yeah.
Yeah, same person.
Dang. Yeah. It
And
sounds
I let her keep the ring, so
the
so
football
close.
ring?
No, I had to take that one back, and I got her
Oh, okay.
more traditional one, so
Oh, you got her the one she wanted.
a round one, yeah.
Oh man, I love it.
But-
So that is Psycho.
well, I thought that was a good session.
This episode went off the rails at the end there. We were really good about it, and then when some revelations came to light while we were trying to pick next week's movie. And so, I hope you enjoyed last week's episode is all I can say.
Again, yeah, I hope you enjoyed it again.
Again, we can never get enough talking about Evil Dead 2 on this podcast.
Yep.
So, we'll see you next week with Critters 3, available for free on YouTube, luckily. You can follow us online at HiLaProductions.com. You can follow us on Facebook at HiLa Productions. Follow us each on Twitter. You can follow Derek at DDoglyMaster. Follow Lydia at Lydia Spooky, and you can follow me at Racket. Be sure to comment down below on what your favorite scenes of this movie were. Also comment on which version of Evil Dead 2's review is your favorite. Was it the first one or the remake? Let us know. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and tell all your friends. So until next week when we do Critters 3, we know for sure we've not done in the past. For Derek Lemaster and Lydia Judy, I'm Jamie Hiles. Remember, if you're going to scream bloody movies.